Okay, I am from Maho River in the Kalinago territory. I grew up with my mother and my father and my sister. I had one brother who passed away at the age of 6. I grew up in a very happy home, very supporting parents. My parents always tried their best to ensure that my siblings and I got the best education possible at the time with what was available. We did our best, and I can confidently say that I am very thankful for my parents and how that I have been brought up, because I'd like to believe that I am someone who I don't like to judge people, and I think I am unable to judge someone because I myself, I understand and I know what it is like to be judged by someone based, you don't even know anything about them, and then you go and you make your assumptions. So I am thankful for everything I have been taught, my morals and everything. And I am especially thankful for my mother, who has, as I think everybody know, my mother is quite outspoken, and I think that has a big role to play as well in my advocacy and my confidence in speaking out.
Yes, absolutely. So again, thank you for being here, Whitney, and thank you for sharing with us all about who you are. Now, at a very early age, you started in broadcasting. Just tell us where the interest came from and how you ended up at DBS Radio and now at Q95.
Okay, I did not study broadcasting. I think after Hurricane Maria, there was an opportunity. DBS has this annual program on their, I think it's 89.5 FM, and I got to know about it from a cousin of mine, and I went, I spoke to them, and there were four of us for the program. I think it's Blaze FM, and that is how I got to DBS. That is how I got to fall in love with the media and journalism. And then I think I did about a year. Um, I did the Sunday program with Mr. Packet, which I am extremely grateful for. He was not obligated to take us under his wing and teach us what he did, and he did that out of the willingness of his heart, and I am absolutely grateful. I think that that program, the Sunday program with Mr. Packet, that was one of the most impactful moments for me, and that impacted my decision and my, I would say, love for the media and passion for journalism. And after that, I went to Q95.
Okay, and tell us, what do you do at Q95? What is your role at Q95?
At Q95, I am a journalist. Sometimes I would do the I would read the news, but yes, that's basically it.
Okay, excellent. And it seems like you are so passionate about so many different issues, Whitney, some of which we have outlined already, but especially as it relates to Indigenous people. So, where does that fire in your belly come from? Where does that passion to want to do more? You know, many young people at your age, they're interested in socializing, they're interested in hanging out with their friends, being on social media. But even at your age, and of course, we're not going to say your age because that's private, but we will just say that you're fairly young. Even at a very young age, you have such a drive to want to do more for those around you who are vulnerable. So where does that passion come from?
I would say there's nothing great or grand about it. It's just that I have lived through it. I see what it is like in the Kalinago territory, and I just know that we can do better, and I know that we deserve better. That is basically it. Just knowing that we can do better and we deserve better. That alone is enough for me to speak out about what is going on and what we need in the Kalinago territory.
Yes, and just tell us about one particular issue that I remember you speaking out very loudly about, and that is internet access. So, what propelled you to send out a national letter to the ministry to indicate your dissatisfaction with the internet service that was available in your area?
That my post and what I said was geared at the telecommunications the businesses, that would be Flow and DJCell, that's the main ones here in Dominica. It was not geared at the Ministry of Education or any minister. It was me speaking to the telecommunication companies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have said before, my decision to speak out about internet in the Kalinago territory, or the lack thereof, is simply because I moved out of the Kalinago territory for I think a year and a half because there was no internet access and I had to go to school traveling every day from the Kalinago territory to town and back. It's quite expensive. And some students, they have a lot of classes. I don't think, and again, everything is online now. We need the internet. You have to do your homework, you have to do research. So it is something that affected me. It is something that affected students in the Kalinago territory, my family, my cousins. I mean, we all need it. Um, so yes, that was it. That is why I spoke out. That is why I reached out to them and asked, what is going on? What are you going to do? Because it's been a long while since Hurricane Maria, and we still do not have
Mm-hmm.
broadband connection. We still do not have it, and it is a necessity. We are at a loss right now. That is it.
So
Plain and simple.
even to this day, it's an issue.
It is. It is. Um,
Mm.
because we still do not have it. I believe there are some people in the Kalinago territory. I'm not sure if I can speak on it, but it has been mentioned. There is works to have a community Wi-Fi,
Mm-hmm.
community Wi-Fi mesh in the Kalinago territory. I am praying that it falls through because it is something that we need, and
Mm-hmm.
I really hope that when it does happen, students can have a full access and they can use it and get themselves to where they need to be. And it will also help the parents as well, help financially because it is really a strain financially on the
Mm-hmm.
people.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, and thank you for that correction that you made, that the letter was directed to the telecommunications department and not to a particular ministry. So thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you for that correction. And it is so unfortunate that even despite that, that the Kalinago territory still does not have reliable internet service when, like you said, virtually everyone is going to school online at this point. So, have you guys heard back from the telecommunications companies as to what the holdup is? What is going to be the process to get you that internet service that is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity at this point?
Yes, last I heard that they were working on it and they are trying to get the necessary equipment, to source the equipment, and to start getting that on the way.
Wow, but they haven't given you guys any timeline or anything.
No, no, I have
Mm-hmm.
not been given a timeline. Or if it was relayed to somebody else, either the chief or the Kalinago Council, the minister himself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not aware of it.
Right, absolutely. So I think that is something you need to keep pushing on because it is absolutely a necessity. Now, let's talk about some of the other advocacy roles that you have played, including the need to have a steady stream of physicians in the Kalinago territory. Just kind of tell us about that. The need to provide 5 Kalinago doctors with permanent contracts. So tell us why that was important to you and the Kalinago people.
This one, I think that was one of the first, or maybe second, video, or I think it was the first video I did, and the Kalinago people, education, it's something that we have to work very, very hard for. I think most people would know that to send your child to study at university as a Kalinago, the struggle is very real.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my opinion that we have to go through all of that struggle. The parents have to sacrifice a lot, and at the end of the day, to have your child after all of that be in an office where they work and everyone else, the majority is appointed and you are not, and you are wondering why. I have worked so hard for this, I deserve it, and you don't get it. I
Mm-hmm.
just think it's unfair.
Right, absolutely. So, have you been able to make any strides with regards to getting some physicians assigned to the Kalinago territory?
No. If
Okay.
I think that one is the same as the last one. If they have been, I have not been made aware of it,
Mm-hmm,
but I do
mm-hmm.
not believe so.
Yeah. Now, as a youth in Dominica, what are some of your major concerns? Just looking around you, looking around your friends, your classmates. What are some of the major concerns you would like to tell us about as a youth in Dominica, especially in this time period? Because, when we grew up, we didn't have the internet, we didn't have so many of the distractions that you now have. So just kind of tell us what it's like being a youth today.
Um, well, right now, my number one focus or priority is child sexual abuse. That is something I am very passionate about, and that is something very difficult for me to speak about as I have personally experienced it. That was a very difficult video, and that is something I want to focus on to get as much attention to this as possible because it is very saddening to hear, even if it's every week or every 2 weeks, to hear that a child has been sexually assaulted or abused. So that is my number one focus at this moment. Another one would be advocacy in itself, get younger people, other people to speak out and be comfortable speaking out. You are not doing anything wrong. It is your right to speak out. If I remember when I spoke on the internet issue, a lot of people were saying, "Well, we don't have internet as well. Or this place doesn't have internet." And I'm saying, if you do not have internet and it affects you, why are you not speaking out about it? Why is it an issue that I am speaking out and you're saying you don't have? If you do not have, then speak out because that is something that affects you. So I think
Mhm.
advocacy is another issue that I would like to address, to let young people know that you have a voice and you need to use it to protect yourself, to protect the people around you, and to get what you deserve.
Hmm. Now tell us, because you said as well the important role of your mom. Now, I heard it from a reliable source that your mom is a formidable force, that she supports you in any way that she can. So just tell us about the importance of having a mother like yours to kind of just lift you up and to support you with everything that you're interested in doing.
My mother, I think we all know that my mother is a very vocal person. She
Good.
does not shy away from voicing her opinion and what bothers her. And
Hmm.
I think her being so outspoken, it gave me the confidence that I can also speak out freely and I do not have to be afraid of the consequences that may come. Because I know there are consequences, there are always consequences.
Hmm.
There will always be somebody to try to take you down and try to discredit you. And seeing my mother speak out and say what she has to say, despite all of that, seeing her continue to speak out, despite the many people who try to stop her and try to hinder her progress and what she has to do with her education and with work, you know, it makes me feel happy and it makes me feel okay to speak out.
Hmm.
Just,
Hmm.
it's like I get power from that. If she can do it, you can
Absolutely.
do it. So
Absolutely. Now,
she has
now
a big
you
role.
now you spoke about consequences, and I want us to talk about consequences because, as you rightfully state, there is going to be consequences when you're so outspoken. There's going to be retribution. There are going to be people who don't like you because you
All
speak
the
out
time.
too much. Just tell us how you deal with that. Tell us if you feel like there's any particular opportunities that you've lost because you're just so outspoken and you're such a power force, especially for the Kalinago people. Are there any opportunities that come to mind that you've lost out on because you're so outspoken?
Well, they always say when they close one door, another one opens. So
Amen.
I don't look at the opportunities I may have lost. I don't pay attention to
Hmm.
the opportunities that may have
Good
been
for you.
taken away from me, or that okay, she likes to speak out. She said something that I don't like. She said something against me or my government, or however they perceive it, and they say
Hmm.
not not give me a platform per se.
Hmm.
I do not pay attention to it. I prefer, if it does not benefit me, does not benefit my people, then
Hmm.
I do not think there is any point in paying attention to the negativity.
hmm And I certainly like the way you put that, Whitney, that you don't spend too much time focused on what the opportunities that did not open up for you because you chose to spoke up. You focus on the door that is opening for you.
Right.
Absolutely. So tell us why you're interested in pursuing law. You're interested in becoming an attorney at law. Why that particular direction? Why not stay in broadcasting?
The answer to that is I do not want to be just a lawyer. I do not want to be just a journalist. I want to be many things. I want to
Good.
be someone who can advocate legally for the Kalinago people, and I can also
hmm
say I want to be a journalist so I can bring our story out there. I can be able to speak freely. I can do what I need to do. I do not want to be stuck in a bracket and say,
hmm
okay, this is who I am. I cannot step out of that boundary. I do not want to be kept in a box. I want to be
hmm
able to do as much as I can and be as much as I can.
Yeah, that
So
makes so much sense.
my
hmm
hope is to pursue law and journalism and maybe a little political science. And
So are you telling us you're interested in politics with me?
the youth should be interested in politics.
Absolutely.
They have
Absolutely.
to
And
be
that's all you need to say.
exactly. Thank you.
So, of course, we want to acknowledge everyone who's joining us on the Facebook Live this evening. And if you sign in a little bit late, we are speaking to the dynamic and the powerhouse, Miss Whitney Melinard, out of the Kalinago territory in Dominica. You may recognize her name because she is a broadcast journalist at Q95 FM, the big station. And she is also in the process of pursuing her degree in law. So where are you attending school at this point, Whitney?
Well, currently I am at Academic School of Learning and I am still pursuing Cape Law.
hmm
And after that, of course, I will be furthering my studies.
Okay, undetermined at this point.
We don't know that.
Whitney, I like how you keep certain things close to your chest. The world doesn't have to know every detail of your life. So I want you to always keep that in mind because that is a very important strategy as you go out into the world to know exactly what you want people to know about you and to know what you want to keep private. Because just because you're a public person, it doesn't mean that your entire life has to be on display for the world to see.
That's totally
Yes.
correct.
Yes, so keep that mentality. It will serve you well. So let's acknowledge some of the folks who are joining us on the Facebook Live today. We have Glenda Shillingford who says, "Blessed evening." She says, "I pray she heard tonight by the right people with the internet issue." So she's hopeful for you with that. We have Tina who says, "Hello, Simone and Whitney, a young lady with such leadership potential. She caught the attention of many once she appeared in the limelight with the radio and iced with the telecommunications matter." And then we have more comments coming in, so I want to share them with you. Whitney, we have Anne who says, "Very eloquent young lady." Errol Emmanuel, "Refreshing to see youth advocacy in action. Continue using your voice to represent issues of the youth and the nation." Rosalind is listening. Clyde, "Forward thinker, independent thinker, and self-motivated person." So lots of compliments coming in.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, coming in for you, Whitney. So we talked about your career aspiration, but what is the current status of life in the Kalinago territory at this point, Whitney, in terms of job opportunities, educational opportunities? What does it look like in the Kalinago territory at this point?
I believe it looks the same as it was a year ago and the year before.
Wow. So are there opportunities? for improvement? Are there industries you can see would do a little bit better, maybe if there were more people investing in the industries? What do you think is lacking?
A lot of things, a lot of things. But I am hopeful. I think the road project, it started about a week ago, and we were promised that that would bring a lot of employment within the area, the Kalinago and the customers area. So I am hoping soon enough that falls through.
Mm-hmm.
Education wise, it's still the same.
Mm-hmm. And
Limited opportunities is still very difficult, for a student trying to pursue an education in university. So there's that.
yeah, yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, if you had your way and you could create the Kalinago territory of your dream, what would it look like for you, the youth, and all the people of the Kalinago territory? What would that look like?
Well, first of all, I would absolutely I would love for child sexual abuse to be non-existent in the Kalinago
Mm-hmm.
territory.
Mm-hmm.
I believe with that gone, a lot of children, a lot of families would be a lot happier,
Mm-hmm.
especially the children. And I think we would have a lot of youth who would maybe be more engaging, more open, more outspoken, and a lot more happy. Because I think a lot of people are afraid to speak about the issue, and then they kind of ignore or belittle the effects of such abuse. And it I think that is one of the main issues, and it affects you into your adulthood. And I think
Right.
if we can address that issue in itself, that is one big step that we have made, because it can affect you mentally. Child abuse, it affects you as a child. You grow up, you either hide it or you go astray, and either way, it is bad, because if you hide it, it's going to catch up to you, and it might get to you at the worst time. You may be going through your last year at school, or university. It could be high school, it could be college, and then it hits you that
Mm-hmm.
this is what happened to you. And after you have buried it for all those years, at that moment when you need to be at your best, when you need to be focused the most, you just get thrown off. See,
Yeah.
all these things, the
Mm-hmm.
family, and I think when a child is abused and it's hidden in the family, that is something that it will continue. Your
Mm-hmm.
boys will think it is okay. They might do it, or they themselves might be silent when it happens to their family, it happens to their child. So I think it is, well, that's just my opinion, that the first thing I would tackle to build the Kalinago that I imagine would be to eradicate child sexual abuse. That's the
Mm-hmm.
first thing we need to do. And I think we should start as soon as possible. Even start
Mm-hmm.
speaking to the people, start speaking to the children on the importance of speaking out, letting you know that it is not your fault. It has never been your fault and will never be your fault to be abused or assaulted. The fathers, the parents, the family as itself, we need to get back as a community where we look out for each other. Because you cannot even trust your own family at this point. You cannot.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that is the number one thing, and the second thing to do is educational opportunities, because there are a lot of people with great dreams and they have talents. They just need the opportunity to do it. I have met
Mm-hmm.
very smart people and they can hold a really intellectual conversation, and then you're like, you are smart, and then you get
Mm-hmm.
surprised because I did not expect you to be thinking that way. But you see, a lot of us, we know a lot and we can do a lot, but we are just not listened to, or we're not given the opportunity to do what we need to do for ourselves and our families. And even then, when we get through, we are not given the opportunities to work and to give back to our communities and to our country. Because I know of a lot of university students who, after going through their struggle as a Kalinagu, you have to go, your parents, they send what little what they have, they send, and they send you to school. They give you everything. Some of them, they go hungry for a day or two, a week,
Mhm.
and then they struggle to get their degrees, and they come back and they have to stay home in that little Kalinago territory where they grew up with everybody else in the same struggle, and they have nothing to do with that degree that they worked so hard for. That is something disturbing, and it is, in my opinion, they have been cheated.
Yeah,
It is unfair.
yeah.
You work so hard for something like this, and then you are just ripped out of everything you've worked for. Is I mean, maybe some feel like it has been a waste of time, it has been a waste of money, because after all that, you come back and you sit in the same struggle. Opportunities. Let people who have worked hard for their degrees get to use their degrees. Because I am going to study. I have every intention to study. I would not like, after my mother has struggled so much, to go and then to come back in the same house that I grew up in. Sorry, I'm a little emotional about it, but
Yes,
it is
absolutely.
not. It's not fair. It is not
Mm-hmm.
fair.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
is. So I think that would be the three main things to fix child abuse, to give us the opportunities, and after we have worked very hard, extremely hard, to go out there and get what we deserve, to come back and be cheated from it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Absolutely.
two things.
Very, very well said, Whitney. And, I think you're going to play a very important role in transforming your community and bringing opportunity because there's no reason why the same opportunities that exist elsewhere on the island is not available to you in the Kalinago territory. And we have to go back to the internet because that just represents the fundamental problem of what is happening. If you cannot have the basics of the internet, which is of value, and even what you're saying, the internet can be used for industry, right? So let's say that these people who come back to study, they cannot find jobs locally. They
They
can
can
create internet companies.
exactly. And I am seeing that play out right now with the Kalinago people who, and I know one personally. He has been keeping me up to date with the progress of the Kalinago Wi-Fi mesh, and I think
Mm,
that is a prime example of using their knowledge and their skills to do something and give back to their community. Because
mhm,
right now, I would have never thought that the Kalinago people would, at this point, be working on creating their own Wi-Fi mesh for the Kalinago territory itself. I would have never thought of that, but it is
mhm,
happening. It is going through, and I think in a few months it might be up. They have already started testing,
mhm,
so that is something that we need, and I think that
mhm,
is people, the Kalinago people themselves, especially the Kalinago people, should see that as an opportunity for they themselves, despite their shortcomings, despite being cheated out of what they deserve, you can do something for yourself as little as it is.
mhm.
You can
Yeah.
do
Absolutely, and I'm happy to hear that people are being innovative by realizing that we've done all that we can to convince the powers that be that this is a service that we need. Well, we're just gonna do it for ourselves. I mean, how
that
did we,
mentality.
my
I love it.
heritage is Kalinago as well. So how do you think we survived for centuries when the British were trying to extinct us? It's not by sitting around and doing nothing.
Exactly. And
Yes.
again, I would really appreciate if more Kalinago people, if they spoke out about things, and it's not just me, not
Mm-hmm.
just me speaking about it,
Mhm. Yeah,
because
now speaking of which, I mean, does it become tiring for you that you're the voice? It seems like you're the voice of the Kalinago people at such a tender age. Does it become, a weight that you're carrying it, or is it just your passion to do so?
it's both. I do
It's
get
both.
tired. There are times
Yes.
when I feel as if I do not have the support from the people that I speak on their behalf, but I do not get the support. That is how I feel sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
There are times I have told my mother, but what is the point even? Why should I be speaking out when half of the population, even if I am speaking on something for your benefit,
Mm-hmm.
because of whatever decision, be it political or whatever, you will not support me.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not understand, and that is something I struggle with sometimes. But
Mm-hmm.
eventually, I pull through it and I do what
Right.
needs to be done.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, we're taking the comments from the Facebook Live as well. And we have Louisa Jean-Pierre, and she says, that's heartbreaking that the issue of child abuse is so prevalent in the community. Now, it sounds like you're saying that it's an issue that is not spoken of a lot, Whitney, but you know for a fact that it's going on. Now, is social services in any way involved in these particular cases?
As you said, it is an issue, and I do not believe it is getting enough attention. There is the, how would I say this? Silence, the culture of silence. That is something that has been going on in the Kalinago territory. People prefer to deal with it themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They will
Mm-hmm.
either say, "Okay, I will hit this guy," or "I will threaten him." But at the end of the day, what does that
That's
do
not
for the
enough.
child?
Right.
Does that child get counseling? Does that child get justice? No, that child just has to be basically okay with it. I mean, okay,
Mm-hmm.
my brother dealt with it. They spoke to the guy. They threatened him to not do it again, but it has already been done. It
Wow.
has already been done. Does that child get the help that she needs? Does she really get the support that she needs emotionally from the family? Do they all just say, okay, it's not going to happen again, and that's the end of the
Yeah,
discussion?
but Whitney, think about it though. That might be the end of the discussion for that particular child. But what about other kids? This child might no longer be the victim, but if you don't take care of the person who's committing the crime, then all the person is going to do is move on to another family, move on to another victim.
That is exactly what I am saying. The culture of silence. We need to end that culture of silence because, yes, that may be the end of discussion for one child for the time. We don't know how
Hmm.
that child is going to react to that later on in life. And yes, it
Right.
goes on to another child. Another child may be affected. So that is something that needs to stop. It's
Hmm.
like a disease. You have to get that treated. You cannot be saying or trying to deal with it yourself. You need to get the proper
The
help.
authorities.
Yes, you need to get the authorities involved. And there was a group, I cannot remember the exact group, who kept asking for the sexual offenders registrar. And I think that would
Hmm.
be of great help to not only the Kalinago territory, but Dominica with
Hmm.
regard to sexual abuse, sexual assault, especially when it relates to a child.
Right, absolutely. And also keep in mind that this is not something that is unique to the Kalinago territory. I know that is what has been your experience, but from what I understand in terms of Dominica, it is very much an unspoken secret that many people keep in their households, that sometimes people are paid off so that others will not go to the authorities. And in the end, like you said, the kids may bury it and not receive counseling for it. But what happens is, like you rightly said, eventually at some point in their life, it's going to spring up. And we have
Exactly.
no idea how they're going to respond once it does.
Yes, and to your question about social services, I
Hmm.
believe that if given the right resources, financially and like human resource, they will be able to help more people, more children,
Hmm.
especially, and they would be able to give them the proper counseling or whatever it is that they need. I just
Hmm.
believe at this moment, the public probably blames social services, for not for being ineffective, or that's how they see it. But I think people also need to understand that social services has limitations. They cannot
Hmm.
arrest somebody. They cannot put that person to jail. Yes, your child was wronged. You were wronged, but social services, that is not the jurisdiction. that is
Mm-hmm.
to the legal system. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not, yes, they both work together, but they are different entities.
Mm-hmm.
The legal system needs to work with social services. They need to do their job. They need to get these people behind bars. They need to
Mm-hmm.
get them, charge them or something. Do something so that the children and the community can feel safe. To have their
Absolutely.
children, to have their children out there.
Mm-hmm.
Because you cannot hide your child in a house.
Nope.
They have to be children. They
They
need
have
to
to be
play.
children. They have to be
Exactly.
children.
So I
Mm-hmm.
think it takes two. The both need to work together
Mm-hmm.
effectively, and people need to understand that you cannot just blame social services.
Mm-hmm.
It is understaffed, they are underfunded. That is my opinion. And I think given if they were given the financial resources and the human resource, they would be able to either implement programs or get the proper facilities to do their job effectively.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, and I don't want anyone on Facebook to think that I'm ignoring the comments, but this is a very important conversation that we're having with Whitney. So I will come to your comments in just a minute. But Whitney, is that an area that you would be interested in pursuing once you become an attorney at law? The protection of
Absolutely.
children. I can see why you're so
Absolutely.
passionate. I can,
Absolutely. That is
yeah.
something that is close to me,
Mm-hmm,
and that is something I would personally like to take on.
mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
So let's take, mm-hmm. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that hopefully by the time I become a lawyer, that the government would have already passed the Child Protection Bill 2016, so I would not have the
2016.
extra burden of channeling that it to that cause. It would already be, you know, passed, and it would be an
Yeah,
act.
so that cause has been around since 2016 and it has not yet been passed.
Yes,
Oh,
I think
that's
I told you
unfortunate.
that as well. So I hope I would like to say to the government, though you do not have time. Do not that is not something you can keep pushing back.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there are a lot of years before I get to the point of a lawyer. So I'm just letting you
Mm-hmm,
know. I hope by the time I get to that point, that bill is no longer a bill and it has been passed.
mm-hmm. And I
Because
cannot help.
I have
Mm-hmm,
gone through the bill, I have read it,
mm-hmm,
and I am seeing there are a lot of points. It is very thorough, and I think that is something we need right now.
mm-hmm,
Because honestly, I was upset when I saw it and I realized that it was still a bill. Like,
mm-hmm,
how can you have something as important as this, a bill?
mm-hmm,
So hopefully, they get it done
mm-hmm.
as soon as possible.
And I cannot help but think of the number of kids that have been abused from since 2016 because this thing has not gone through. So that's the other thing that we have to keep in mind as well. While all this delay is going on, the cases continue to build, and a lot of them are in silence, and the kids suffer in silence. So it's really time to move and get this done and really put this on the front burner because, like you said, it's going to impact their entire life.
It is. It is.
Mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
this is going to affect the generation that will
yes.
soon take take your
Mhm,
place.
right.
You have to safeguard them. You
Mhm,
cannot have a broken adult and expect them to give you good results and to be
mhm,
producing at A levels. You
mhm,
cannot expect that from people. It would be very disrespectful, wrong of
mhm.
you to expect that. You have to take care of your children so later on they can take care of you.
Absolutely. So let's take some of the comments on the Facebook Live. Jared Williams, very positive young lady, an eloquent advocate for her people, a real inspiration to the youth. Bright future awaits you. Wilhelmine says, I'm sorry to play politics, but our government should do better. Egbert, you are beautiful, strong, and brilliant. You have a great future. You will make an excellent politician someday. We didn't say you were going to be a politician, Whitney.
I am
Don't give
open
up.
to ideas. I'm
Huh?
open to I'm open to ideas. I am open
Good
to
for
everything.
you. Be open to the universe. That's another important lesson for you because I was never into media. Now look at me.
It's fantastic. Wonderful.
Absolutely. Don't give up on being a lawyer. Mike Douglas, before he died, regretted he had not studied law. According to him, he saw law as having to defend the drunken man on the street. Sam Hill, who, by the way, is the sponsor of this Facebook Live. Thank you to TDN Radio for always sponsoring our Facebook Lives. He says that's the hard part of sticking up for people who prefer to keep the status quo in place, but you have to keep fighting even for those who'd rather stay where they are. So a lot of great comments. Let's see if we can take one more. Wilhelmine, government sees social services as a liability, not an asset. There is no monetary gain, but healthy minded citizens. There is no monetary gain, but healthy-minded citizens. I think your camera went off, Whitney. I hope you're still with us.
I am with you, Simone. I'm just rushing to get my phone charged.
Oh,
Be-
okay. That's important.
yes.
That's important. So I'll take a couple more comments as you do so. It's not always welfare. This is from Catherine. It's not always welfare, and the law sometimes mothers take settlement under the table. And finally, we have Marley who says, Whitney is very intelligent. I love this girl. So we can still hear you while you're working everything out, so you can keep talking to us, Whitney. But what is your ultimate goal? What is the ultimate dream for your life, Whitney?
Okay, I am back.
Yes. And
Um,
we're about to wrap up, so you can just hold your phone.
okay, the ultimate dream. I'll have to do like Beyonce and say the ultimate dream is to be happy.
Yes.
Yes. I would like as much as possible to do all that I can to help my people and my family because um they have done a lot for me. My mother especially, and I have to say she's the best mom. I mean, we have a little
Yes.
sometimes, but that's my mom.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I
Mm-hmm.
want to be happy with myself and the decisions that I have made along the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Well, thank you so much for being on Untapped Potential with me. I'm Whitney. It was absolutely lovely speaking with you. We have great expectations of everything that you will do and everything that you will accomplish, and we encourage you to keep on fighting. You know, sometimes when we're fighting a fight, we may not see the results immediately, but you are making an impact. You are making a dent in many of the issues. So we want to encourage you to keep going. And as we get ready to wrap up, do you have any final thoughts for us?
Please listen to what I have said,
Mm-hmm.
and there are others. They may not be as vocal as I have been. They may not take it to Facebook. They may not make a video and post it, but they will speak amongst themselves. They will speak, even if it's to their family, their parents, their friends. Listen, because
Mm-hmm.
we have a lot to say. We feel a lot, and we just need somebody. We need the people in charge, especially, to listen to what we have to say and understand that
Mm-hmm.
we we want to be involved and we need to be involved, and we too, we know that we can do things, and if given the opportunity, we can make life better for ourselves and for each other. So just
Mm-hmm.
listen.